Hello everybody and welcome to our final episode of 2020. This is episode 14 of St. B TV. How's it going, Carly?
Not bad. How are you, Steve?
Fantastic, thank you. Today we're just going to provide a bit of a kind of a summary of the 2020 season, or our COVID-19 season as it might be go down in the history books as. We'll talk to Darren as well about some of the on-course stuff that happened this year and looking forward to the future. Okay, here we are with Darren Kalniak, our superintendent. And just to be clear on what we're doing here, we are basically just providing you with a bit of an explanation as to kind of what you were faced with this spring after the winter, as well as some of the things that happened on the golf course. And then we'll just provide a little bit of a look into the future of what we're doing as well. So going back to last year, I guess as the season ended with how wet it was, what kind of effect do you feel that had on the course and what you kind of woke up to in the spring, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. You know what, the fall played a big factor in the conditioning into the spring with being very saturated soils and plants freezing, just kind of killed a lot of turf out there. And unfortunately we have, as everybody's aware, we have a lot of annual bluegrass, or POA as I call it, and it cannot really take that extreme type of weather and harshness to it. And a lot of the POA did die out on the course this year, especially out on the fairways, as we saw out on 2, 15, 16, so on and so forth. Not just those, but a few different areas. So we definitely it was a little bit of a challenge going in, and then come into November 26th, we had the snow, then the rainfall,
Yeah.
and turned into slush. So we did have some staff out that we did try to do what we could to alleviate the amount of damage that we were gonna receive come springtime by shoveling and squeegeeing off all the water that we had over the course. But unfortunately, there was just so much of it, and the following day it just froze again,
And I think, from your standpoint, I guess, and how it affected everybody with regards to the golf course, it really had a negative impact on the 11th green, really, mainly. We were actually pretty fortunate. All the other greens pretty much came through unscathed, other than the 11th green, right? So, obviously, and everybody witnessed it and saw what we had to deal with, but and it progressively got worse as the season went on. And then as the season, actually right near the tail end of the season with the seeding that you did there, I noticed a big jump back. But maybe touch base a little bit on 15 and 16 is now that obviously when we built those two greens, we weren't allowed to seed with the POA. We had to seed with a different grass, which is why, and bent grass is obviously the most logical choice given the climate and what we do, and kind of how that reacts under these circumstances. So maybe just explain working with bent versus POA and some of the challenges and some of the differences and some of the things obviously that we faced given the disease that we had on 15 and 16.
So 15 and 16 did give us a little problems this year with the Pythium root dysfunction. Unfortunately, it was hard to identify for us without having a qualified turf lab take a look and give us the results back. So moving forward, we have a plan in action from this day forward of what fungicides we're going to be applying, when we're going to be applying them to correct whatever, so it doesn't happen
Right.
again.
So then again, the timeline that you anticipate with once all these applications and the steady stream of applications that you're going to have in the regular regiment that you're going to be putting down on them, what kind of timeline do you anticipate before the members start to see the greens start to react and get to that point where they are to our normal standards?
Well, this I believe definitely in the springtime we're going to be pulling the tarps back a little bit earlier this spring to take a look at what the conditions are of the greens. I feel that over the winter time it's amazing how just without any traffic on there and everything, they tend to heal up quite a bit. So we might see quite a bit of areas kind of filled in over the winter time and over the springtime. So when we do peel it off in the springtime, we're going to take a look. We'll reseed where needed or sod, depending, and then get some nutrients down on there, get them growing. And you know, the main goal is not to rush and get those greens back into play if they're not ready at the right time.
So you're going to basically pull the tarps back, seed,
Yes.
sod, make any repairs you need to repair, and then put the tarps back down.
Put the tarps down.
Right, just, and then again, that's gonna be done before we even open anyways, right? So it's
Yes.
gonna give it a few weeks of growth, like as a bit of a jump start.
Yeah, and those tarps really, they do help to generate the heat in the soil to get things growing. So, you know, that's the main purpose of those tarps, really to kind of jumpstart it.
Right.
And help them.
Well, because we kind of bring the heat in too,
It
right?
does.
And help hold it in, which is great, which is
Yeah.
why that seed's gonna germinate, right?
Now, excuse my ignorance because I don't know a lot about grass, but is there risk of the infection coming back? And if so, like, would you be able to identify it on your own?
Well, on a soil-borne disease, it's very tough to identify on your own without the lab. But like I had mentioned, we're going to be putting down more preventative applications of fungicides come the spring, where in the past we just kind of, it was always a treat and control type of way that we worked in due to budgets and
Okay.
everything else.
So essentially with the treatment that he's gonna put down, it should not come back, right?
So-
That's sort of
So
fighting against it.
we're yeah, exactly. We're being proactive and trying to control it before it actually.
Sounds like a good plan.
So now, with regards to, you know, the golf course and what we faced this year, and then, you know, obviously that's just Mother Nature.
Yeah, environmental effects were huge,
Yeah.
but
And then obviously, last March, and I almost remember this like it was yesterday, March 12th, it was the last day of my son played hockey, and their kids played hockey and sports, so it was all canceled and everything like that. And it created a lot of unsureness really with what regards was going to happen to this coming golf season. So no one really knew, so
no, it was completely unprecedented. And I mean, I think that we've said this to each other and we said it to the members. It was kind of like reinventing the wheel when it came time to open for the golf season. Not only were we faced with extreme restrictions and safety measures, but we knew that there was going to be a financial impact from the COVID-19 situation, but I don't think that any of us had a clue of how far that would go.
yeah, it's crazy to think about it. You know, obviously we knew nothing that was going to be happening or coming forward, but once all the restrictions started coming in place, we were really, if you remember the day we opened, it was about 3 or 4 days prior to that, we got word that we could open, which was awesome. It was like Christmas, and all of a sudden the mad rush to get open was there, which was great. However, with all the restrictions that were in place, Carly, maybe just touch a little bit on the financial impact that it had just for the club in itself.
Well, so, I mean, the reality of it was that, I mean, some of you are very aware that a lot of our extra revenue comes from the wedding and event side of our operation. A significant amount, actually. So we were, you know, based on our budgets for the 2020 year, we were looking at approximately 59 weddings at the tune of, you know, $1.3 million in revenue. When March came in, we thought, okay, we're faced with restrictions, you know, we might lose 4-6 weddings. Unfortunately, a lot of those March, April weddings were, you know, forced to postpone. And then as the year went on, you know, reality kind of sank in, and the situation progressed, and, you know, more and more of our events began to postpone due to the restrictions that were put on and the limitations that they were faced with. So, I mean, we're not talking about cancellations entirely.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, we were really fortunate enough. We've retained the business in a certain aspect, moving most of their events into 2021 and some even into 2022. But the reality of it is that we were down, you know, from then till now, we're along the way, we're down over $800,000 in revenue.
Which on the bottom line looks closer to 400,000, you know, in lost profit,
Right.
and which really would have helped subsidize really the rest of the operation. Which, you know, when it first happened and we started looking at it, the board basically prompted all departments to start looking at areas to kind of make sure you make cuts and
Tight purse
be as
strings,
tight
because
as
we didn't know
possibly
where it
could
was
be.
gonna go.
Because, yeah, I mean, at that point, we didn't know if we were gonna open, when we could open and things like that, so we
Mhm.
kind of we planned for the worst and hoped for the best, really, is all we can really say. But the plan for the worst really was basically all of our budgets kind of being cut and kind of just almost like a wait and see.
Bare
sort of,
minimum
yeah.
improvements and maintenance, and
Yeah.
I mean, we were looking at, reducing staffing in all departments. We were fortunate enough to receive, government subsidies and some grants to help us with our labor expenses, but it wasn't enough to make up for that significant loss in revenue.
Yeah, and I think what's really important for you guys to remember, we're not here today providing an excuse for what happened. We're just kind of giving you a bit of an explanation as to what we went through and what we dealt with on a pretty regular basis. I will say this though, with all the restrictions and adjustments and how it went on the fly, you know what, the members and the staff did such a great job in adhering to everything. We really didn't have a lot of issues in season with regards to people disobeying it, the rules and
No, it
regulations.
was easy to forget on a daily basis
Yeah.
that sometimes we were living in this,
Yeah.
this strange time, the new normal.
Yeah, but I think what this really did for us too, I guess, in some ways, it helped bolster golf a little bit. We got a lot of people golfing this year. Our golf course was as busy as it's ever been, to the point where I think at the end of the year, we're probably gonna look at around 36,000 rounds that we put through, and a normal year is about 30. So it's almost a 20% increase, which is crazy to think about.
If we're talking about, the positives too, I think it's important to mention that it also really forced us to come together as a team.
Yeah.
And have a whole new respect. This was the first year that I've ever taken tarps off of the golf course. So
Yeah.
I have a whole new appreciation for what happens outside. I think that we came together in an incredible way, and it forced us, this whole situation forced us to be more innovative in our, management styles and the operational challenges that came about. Sometimes, 24 hours we have to adjust to a new
Yeah.
change, and so we rose above those challenges.
I agree, and I think what really helped us recognize, I guess, was the importance of making sure that we invest in our future and in the golf course. So what we've done through this process is, and again, listening to your feedback from the golf operations survey, as well as year-long kind of little comments about the condition of the greens and the fairways and things like that. We're making sure that Darren has in his budget for next year a more than adequate amount. In fact, we're bumping it up quite significantly to ensure that he has enough in his budget for seed and sod and for any contingencies that we might need should there be any.
We
should Mother
recognize,
Nature get in the way.
and
Yeah.
we recognize that the golf course is the heart of this operation. Doesn't matter which department we come from. We know that 99% of the members that join here are joining here because they want golf and the
Yeah.
golf course, and so.
And it's great to see that there's going to be a little bit of some special projects being done once again to the course. Maybe some tee boxes, some greens. We're, like you said, we've definitely kind of listened and looked at the surveys and seen what needs and what wants it to be done.
Yeah, again, going to that, I mean, it is with part of the investment in the golf course is there's an investment in just the maintenance budget, as well as an investment in a portion that's going directly to special projects. So we're going to see some over the next few years. We're going to see a guaranteed
The enhancement of the golf course is
two projects a
equally
year
as
sort of
important.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you anticipate, like what's your hope to kind of see for next year as kind of one of our one of the first projects that we kind of do? What's your hope?
Well, I think one of the projects that we've been delaying over the years have been some of the tee box renovations and leveling out some of the tee boxes, as well as trying to improve the bunkers. I know there's been a few projects that have been pushed over the years, and we're looking forward to getting them kind of back.
Yeah, I know you and I had talked about the greenside bunker on 11 as a potential target for a bit of a redevelopment, and not necessarily a replacement, but a redevelopment to kind of take into account maybe some of the turf that kind of doesn't really survive there because of maybe the tree that's right there.
Yeah, and some of the washouts that we always end up getting.
Yeah.
So kind of reforming, reshaping
Yeah.
that bunker.
Yeah, awesome. That's going to be great. And I think also, again, you and I have talked over this season and over the last few weeks as well with regards to just some of the wet areas that we're going to address a little bit with regards to maybe some drainage projects and things like that, I think, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And I think the exciting part for us, again, for sure, is the fact that we're going to see the investment in the golf course, which again, as the membership of St. B, you guys are going to be the benefactors, which is going to be awesome. So I think that's exciting. So awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We're happy to announce on a final note that membership renewal packages for 2021 are complete. So we have those out to you today. That's a little bit earlier than we have in
Yep.
previous years. One of the main reasons for that is, we wanted to give you the opportunity to come and do your renewals in person if you wish. We are only staying open until October 31st this year,
Right.
as opposed to other years when we would have stayed open until the holidays. Unfortunately, due to the conditions of the COVID-19 situation, we will be closing the clubhouse down to regular traffic. So you'll have until the 31st to do them in person,
Yeah.
but there's lots of opportunity to do them, by appointment, over the phone, email, e-transfer, and newly we've set up online bill pay. So you can now go through your own bank account at St. Boniface Golf Club as a bill payee and make your payments to your accounts for your membership that way.
Which is fantastic. Now, also, for those of you looking to work on your golf game a little bit over the winter, I will be around doing Winter Golf Academy as well for January, February, and March, which would lead up to next season. So obviously, anybody looking to work on that, let me know as well. So,
Okay, well, thanks guys, it's been a good
appreciate
season.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for a great 2020, and we look forward to a great 2021.